Welcome to the Gavel. I'm Benny Ark. The countdown to the resumption of full legislative activities continues. Well, in the meantime, the House committees have been holding meetings. One of them is the Ad hoc Committee on River State Oversight, which has been rescheduled following its invitation to the sole administrator of River State. Also, the House Ad hoc Committee on the Utilization of Takeoff Grants, Bailout Funds, and Intervention Allocations to Government Institutions has commenced its investigative hearing. Take a listen.
The House of Representatives has formally inaugurated its ad hoc committee on the investigation into the utilization of takeoff grants, bailout funds, and intervention allocations to government institutions as a vital step towards promoting transparency and accountability in Nigeria's public finance system. The Speaker of the House, who was represented by the House Leader, Honorable Julius Inhovere, said the House would uncover the truth and ensure that public resources are used for their intended purposes.
These interventions were applauded by Nigerians as timely and crucial. These were humongous public funds that have to be accounted for by the beneficiaries, hence this investigative hearing. This step has become even necessary because the concerned beneficiaries are perceived to have neither justified the utilization of the grants, nor have they been able to make appropriate reforms where provided in the relevant clauses for the takeoff grants, bailout funds, and interventions. It is not a witch hunt, rather an opportunity to ensure accountability in the utilization of public funds. It is therefore unfortunate that the CBN and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation in particular have so far not submitted any report to this committee. This special committee we're inaugurating today, therefore, has the mandate of the House to comprehensively investigate these grants and interventions, examine the processes and procedures governing these special grants and allocations to ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as to institutions and government-owned enterprises, assess and evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of these takeoff grants, and ensure that they were effectively used, identify areas of wastage, mismanagement, or corruption, and recommend appropriate sanctions where necessary.
The committee, chaired by Honorable Chinedu Martins, straightaway began its hearing with appearances from several government institutions, including the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Federal Ministry of Health, among others.
I was thinking that the CBN governor will appear here today with your submission, but you came empty-handed again. So for me, honorable colleagues, let the representative of the CBN governor tell us when you're making your submission and when the CBN governor will be present. Thank you.
We need to give a very factual and truthful, comprehensive and complete information regarding this matter. That is on the documents. If you can graciously give us 2 weeks, we will definitely submit that.
Mr. James Abalaka, representative of the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, was also given 2 weeks to return with detailed information on disbursements made to various government agencies.
We will also give you an insight of
Officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Ministry of Health were also present at the hearing.
The national agreement signed 3rd of June 2021 became effective 28th of September 2021. And since then, we have disbursed cumulatively to all the states and FCT based on reimbursements of expenditure that they have made in line with their budgets. You know, we are supporting budgeted expenditures of the state government in the area of social protection. We have 11 DLIs, disbursement linked indicators, that the state subscribe to. They choose the ones they want to do, minimum 4 disbursement linked indicators. They use their own resources to fund their own delivery platforms, as we call them, MDAs in the state, to deliver results, either a social transfer, engaging youth, unemployed youth in their communities for public welfare, or giving livelihood grants to economically active members of the household, to provision of basic services, water, public health, and all that facilities, food security, and support to local economic enterprises. They choose what they want to do. They invest in it. We at the federal send independent verification agents to the state to confirm the result that they have made, and then the reimbursements are made. So far, we have made 3 reimbursements, cumulatively $645 million, about 654 billion naira. But this money is a reimbursement that is paid for work done, okay, to the state governments. We have all the information in the copies that we have submitted, unless there are specific questions now I can now address. So NGKS is not, it's an intervention program, but it's a loan that states are required to repay through the federal government. So we are not bailout fund.
The format of presentation simplifies the analysis of the presentation. What we have here, we have like 3 issues. We have bailout, we have take-off grant, we have intervention funds. So if the Office of the Accountant General can get a format reporting from the Secretariat, the amount, each segmented, take-off grant separate, bailout separate, intervention fund separate, and then it should come in 2015, 16 to the end. And it should have serial number 1, the purpose, the amount. So that's how the format should emanate from the Secretariat. So from there, by the time we get this document, we'll now sit down and analyze them. By the time we analyze them, we'll now fix a date for a particular MDA to come forward and make clarifications. Through that analysis, we'll come up with questions that will be raised and documentation that could be submitted by the agencies being in question.
There is intervention in the health sector. Still, we don't have good healthcare system. There's intervention in the power sector. Still, we don't have electricity in Nigeria. There's intervention in the agri sector. Still, we have food insecurity. So all these trillions of amounts being given to MDAs and this, where are they? If those funds are judicially utilized, we don't have issue. You're talking of how much they're giving to beneficiaries. What can that do to you? This your program is different from the one NISTIPA is doing. It's different from Empower. We have different programs, different schemes. Still, Nigerians are still complaining. So that is why we need to investigate where these funds are going to. If you need legislation, that is the essence of this investigation. Because after the investigation, we're going to advise the federal government on going forward. So thank you very much for your submission. Get us the list. Clerk, take note. We want to see the list of those projects state by state.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has ordered financial technology firm Remita, also known as System Specs Limited, to refund a total of 182.7 billion naira withheld from the Treasury Single Account (TSA) since 2015 to the federal government following a forensic audit that uncovered significant financial discrepancies. The directive was issued by the Public Accounts Committee of the House during a hearing in Abuja on Wednesday, following the submission of an investigative report by consulting firm Sheyi Katola and Company.
We recall that in the last couple of weeks, by the activities of the Public Accounts Committee, a substantial sum of money, now it has run over 60 billion naira, has been recovered as outstanding payments by oil and gas companies under several heads to the federal government account. Now, the investigation is still ongoing, but we need to report to the committee that 12 of these companies have proven to be recalcitrant. All efforts to get them to appear before the committee and defend the allegation of the Auditor General for the Federation as well as the NUPRC has proven abortive.
In the meantime, following its invitation to the sole administrator of Rivers State, the Ad hoc Committee on Rivers State Oversight received a formal request from the sole administrator to reschedule the interactive session initially set for April 17, 2025. In a statement signed by the House spokesman Akin Rotimi, the committee acknowledged the request and said it was in the process of coordinating a new date for the session, and will, in the spirit of transparent and effective oversight, promptly inform the public once the rescheduled date is confirmed. The Nigeria-Bulgaria Parliamentary Group Committee in the House of Representatives is promising to strengthen the existing relationship between Nigeria and Bulgaria. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Munachim Alozie, stated this at a farewell meeting with the outgoing Bulgarian ambassador to Nigeria, Ambassador Yanko Yordanov, at the House of Representatives.
In his 4 years of service here in Nigeria, he has been able to visit 22 out of the 33 states of our country. And he has this to say about Nigeria. Nigeria is not only the giant of Africa, but also as a country with many giants in terms of culture, heritage, and opportunities. And so, we have not come to bid farewell, but to celebrate one who, by his international association, inclination, and interaction, have become one of us, Nigerians, who enjoy our meal. So this gathering is an innovative feature of the Nigerian-Bulgaria Parliamentary Friendship Group to build on the past year's experience with Ambassador Yanko in strengthening bilateral business ties between Bulgaria and Nigeria. I want to, in a special way, formally recognize again the presence of Ambassador Yanko, the Bulgarian ambassador, and his delegation, knowing that the partnership between both our countries will continue in trade and economic cooperation, education and human capital development, agriculture and food security, health, energy sector, tourism, etc. And we hope to continue in exchanging more initiatives and ideas towards strengthening the cooperation between us.
The Bulgarian ambassador to Nigeria appreciated the strong ties between the two countries.
When saying goodbye hurts, it means that the time has been spent very well. Actually, 4 years, several high-level delegations, 10 major bilateral agreements, 22 out of 30 states visited, Bulgaria-Nigeria cooperation on local capacity of producing vaccines within the EU development cooperation, a lot of agricultural projects in many states of Nigeria, and first and foremost, promoting people-to-people contacts by advancing Bulgaria-Nigeria cultural ties. It sounds very good for 4 years, and I think that we can rightly say that the time was spent very well. I'm very grateful to the organizers of this event who actually entitled it Nigeria-Bulgaria Business Cooperation. Actually, this is a conversation not only about the past 4 years, but mostly about the future of our cooperation. I can say that seeing the hike into the trade volumes between Nigeria and Bulgaria is my major achievement as ambassador. 70% growth just for 1 year registered 2024 compared to 2023. It is something that provides a very good basis for cooperation and for furthering the partnerships that has been already established and the new ones that are coming.
Welcome back to the Gavel. In the light of the new developments in River State and the insistence of the House to oversight the sole administrator, the breakdown looks at the ratification of the state of emergency in River State.
The rules of the House and the Constitution clearly states that a third of the membership constitutes the quorum, and a third is what you see, not what is written on paper. So when you do have very important issues escalate to votes, and the Constitution sufficiently and clearly indicates the numbers of votes or how you can have a decision reached, including a law passed, where it clearly indicates that, then it means very specifically that even if you don't have the entire 109 senators present or 360 members of the House of Representatives present, the votes must show that you attained that threshold. And the specific issue regarding the state of emergency that was declared was quite clear in Section 305 of the Constitution, which is that you must have 2/3 of members' votes to approve the declaration of emergency, a state of emergency by the president. It's the same thing it does when you're looking at alteration of a constitution or other provisions that is quite there, clear there. And the National Assembly has always respected that. So for a lot of us who have great investment in the National Assembly, it's very disappointing to see the Constitution desecrated the way that it has been desecrated by the current National Assembly. And once you begin as the one who is supposed to uphold the Constitution to its true value, once you begin to desecrate the Constitution, you are telling citizens that it is a country that doesn't have rule of law. It's a country that is can do anything that it pleases. You're basically telling the country that you, the citizens of the country, can say what you want to say. We will do what we want to do, and you don't care. That's really, I think, the tragedy of the voice votes that the National Assembly took on the issue of emergency. And it's not a question whether you support or do not support the declaration of emergency, or whether you support one side or the other in the crisis in Rivers State. For me, that's not my issue. My issue, and I think the issue for most Nigerians, is a constitution that has been desecrated by the assumption of voice vote as a determination for tabulating what 2/3 means. Now, even if you had 2/3 of members present in a sitting, which means you have a quorum and 2/3 of members are present in either the Senate or the House of Representatives, you must show the numbers that actually voted for one position or the other. So the fact that you use a voice vote, there might be people who might decide to abstain, for instance, and that abstention is a vote in itself. So clearly what the National Assembly has done is sad for our democracy, is sad for rule of law, and is sad for the sustenance of democracy in Nigeria. And for a lot of us who fought very hard, a lot of people lost their lives, a lot of people challenged the dictatorship and brutality of General Buhari, General Abacha, General Babangida, to get us to the point where we returned to civilian rule in 1999. This is quite sad. There are different ways of voting. Now, with respect to the making of a law, it's not very clearly indicated that it must be a recorded votes. Of course, you could have voice vote, you could have division, and then you could have actually counting, which is what division escalates to. But where the Constitution is very specific to say that these are the numbers required for a law or for a motion or a resolution to pass, then you must respect the Constitution. Now, unless artificial intelligence or science have come up with some means by which voice vote can be disaggregated into numbers, unless that has happened, then what the National Assembly has done is void, is illegal, is unconstitutional. Well, the Constitution says that the National Assembly shall vote on a proclamation of a state of emergency made by the President. It doesn't go further to say that the President needs to deliver the proclamation personally and come into the National Assembly to provide further explanation. What it says that members must then vote, if they are in session, within 2 days of that declaration of a state of emergency, and it stops there. Of course, if Senator Dixon goes further to say the president should brief the members, that would be somewhere in which the president will be lobbying to get the National Assembly to approve his proclamation of a state of emergency. And yes, Senator Dixon is right. The president could have pursued that to further get the National Assembly members to understand the imperative nature of approving his declaration of a state of emergency. But it's not required that that is done. What has happened is that the president has sent a declaration. Members should then vote based on what they know, based on what they understand about the so-called crisis, and make a determination whether to approve the president's declaration of a state of emergency. And this is not what has happened. The Senate, the House of Representatives, I must say, failed the nation. And for a lot of us who have invested a lot in support of the National Assembly, this is a very, very sad day for our country.
On Constituency Focus, we had a chat with Senator Francis Fadanhusi as he shares his plans for his constituents. Let's take a look.
The power generation is poor now. The distribution is almost at zero. If the situation of power improves, then we want small scale industries. We have to go further. Enough of distributing 5,000 naira, which could not bring any development. If the state, like what Osun is doing now, Osun is now doing some major roads to connect the farmers. Then our own would like to do feeder roads in conjunction with the local government. The local government now is working, at least in Osun. That's my area. My area is Osun East. That's Ife, Idisa, senatorial district. Our problem now is the major road, that federal road that passed through Osun to Ekiti, Ondo, and Kwara. So if those major roads could be done by the federal government, then we'll be okay. The remaining roads that we attract the farmers to come from the villages to town, that is our own problem, which is major. So we'll be able to cooperate with the state and federal, because we have been doing it, including bridges. Then we are going seriously to agric this year. God so kind. The two ministers in agric are all agric experts, and they are from Senate. So we have to go to meet, and we have met them to advance our own cause. Because the more we produce food, the less you see villagers coming to town to disturb peace. Then, if there is power, we have to connect them to do a lot of more of artisan work, which we are trying to do now.
That's a wrap for this week's episode. We'd love to hear from you, so drop us a message at the Gavel at channelstv.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Benny Ock. See you next time. Stay safe and be well.